Hey, how's it going, do-it-yourselfers? So today, by popular demand, I'm going to go over how much this shop cost me to build. As some of you know, I recently built this 40 by 50, or in other words, 2,000 square foot versatube shop here at my house. So today I'm going to go over how much the building itself cost, how much the kit cost, how much the foundation work cost, how much was the permit from the county, all the different materials, the doors, the windows, the garage door, the rental equipment, how much that cost and how much it added up to. I'm also going to tell you how I plan to pay for it, since I technically haven't paid for this thing yet. I mortgaged the house to build this thing, so I need to pay that back. But I have a way, you'll see. And also here's an update. I didn't do a video on the install, but the epoxy flooring is in. Looks pretty nice. Looks quite shiny. I did also add clear coat to it to keep it from yellowing in the sun, especially out here in the front. All right, let's get on to the brass tacks, and we'll first start with how much the building kit itself costs. This is the building alone, the frames, the sheeting, the insulation, all that stuff, minus the doors and windows. And again, this is a 2,000 square foot building, 40 by 50. So the building kit from versatube itself costs $39,335. As far as more specs regarding this building, the walls on this building are 13 feet high. It's got a 312 pitched roof. The peak is 18 feet high. And since this is a 40-foot wide building, and also the walls are taller, I think that's why the trusses come with this webbing. Now, if you were to get a building that's not as wide as this, I believe maybe 20 or even 25-foot wide building or 30-foot wide building, the trusses won't have this webbing, and therefore you're going to have room to put a lift in there, all the while having a lower wall to begin with. I'm going to assume that's going to be a lot cheaper. Also, this reflective insulation costs $40,000 by itself. So, if I were not to add that, it would be $4,000, maybe $4,200 less. But of course, since I live in Southern California, this metal building would get super, super hot in the summer. It would almost be unbearable. So I had no choice to pretty much get it with insulation. Also, getting the sheet metal to go vertically on the side of the building costs a little bit more, because if you want to have the sheet metal go vertical, you're going to have to get more head channels. Head channels being these guys right here that attach to the post. They go horizontally. The sheet metal attaches to these guys vertically. Now, if you were to have the sheet metal go horizontally, you obviously wouldn't need these all the way across, and this building would be a little bit cheaper as well. I think for me, if I remember correctly, it would be about $1,600 less, something like that. Also, another expense that I had to fork out money for was getting engineering plans from versatube. That alone cost $2,500. You had to go to an engineer, they had to stamp it, so on and so forth, send it to me so I can take it to the county and get this building permitted. Again, if you're building a building like this without a permit, you don't have to worry about that. So that's another cost that could lower your final expense as well. All right, next get on to the concrete work that we had to do. Now, the concrete work here, the money I spent here also includes $3,368 worth of a mistake, which in other words, well, we put the forms and some of the base in, but then we found out we had to move location due to some county regulations regarding power lines. So that's an expense I had to fork out money for, but if you do your move and planning right, you probably don't have to do that. But anyway, the cost of concrete, which included 12-inch by 12-inch footings, half-inch rebar spaced 18 inches on center, some base, about 5 inches of base, and also 4,000 PSI concrete for this 2,000 square foot slab. It cost me here in Southern California, including all the material installation, $29,023. All right, next let's talk about how much the permit costs in the county where I live. Now, keep in mind, to this point, we're not counting the time I spent, putting this building up, installing this building, dealing with the different contractors, going back and forth with the county, getting them the engineering plans, then finding things wrong with it, sending me back. I have to go back and forth, fix things, take it back there to get the ball rolling. We're just concentrating on how much the dollar amount has been so far. So the building permit for this place costs $4,737. There was other fees like environmental fees, trash and recycling fees, fees for the fire department, which all added up to actually $5,867. All right, so besides those fees, there are other fees you need to consider. So these walk-in doors, for example, which I have 2 of in this building, cost $200 each. Those windows that I have 3 of cost $250 each. and so the cost for these adds up to $1,150. And the garage door, which is on its way from China, is going to cost $3,000. I also had to rent a bobcat to level out this place, get ready for the concrete work. I also had to rent a boom lift to install the roof trusses that you probably saw in my previous video. And that cost $3,350. Oh, and I almost forgot, the epoxy flooring cost almost $5,000 for this 2,000 square foot area. Of course, the installation done by me and a friend of mine. Otherwise, I'm sure it would cost probably near double that. All right, so let's go over what's the cost so far. Now again, keep in mind this is not the final tally. There's a lot more expenses still remaining. I'll go over in a little bit, but so far we spent $86,725. All right, so what are the costs that are remaining? Well, for starters, the wiring. So as you can see, I put a small sub panel here. It's got 4 circuits on it. I've installed 2 circuits so far. Let's put some receptacles on this end. There's another receptacle that's got a switch on it at the other end by the walk-in door. To that receptacle, that's going to be for the lights. Now, this is of course not the final panel. I'm still waiting on the electric company to come give me power so I can put a bigger panel on this, but for the sake of getting this place permitted, I had to just install these so they can come and see that this place has power since the fire sprinklers require this. Now, purchasing the wiring, the receptacles, and all those materials is an expense on its own, but you know, if you're not going to be able to do the work yourself, you're going to have to pay an electrician to do this, and that's going to be what's really going to cost you a lot of money. Actually, the most expensive part of this, if you're going to be doing it yourself, is not going to be those wires, it's going to be the service wire. Now, as you can see, I've got this is number 4 wire. In other words, this is a thick wire. Rated for I think 85 amps, but the wire itself is going to cost a lot of money, especially if you're going to have to bring it from quite a bit of distance. In my case, I'm going to have to bring it from a sub panel from that garage. I'm going to have to do some trench work, rent a trencher, dig a trench, bring it all here, up here into that small sub panel that you saw. So yeah, the wire, this wire itself is at, I think it's almost $3 per square foot. This is 444 wire. That means you got three number 4 wires, 2 hots and a neutral. This place has its own ground. But yeah, you're gonna have to buy a trencher, dig a trench, probably hire some help to put all the dirt back once it's done. Of course, the cost of the wire, all that stuff adds up. But yeah, I'm still in the process of wiring this place. Again, I have to upgrade that sub panel once I get more power from the electric company, buy more service wires to bring in more power, more amps. So that's gonna cost even more. But not just that, for this place, in my county, I also have to install fire sprinklers for this place. Now that's going to cost probably around $8,000 to $10,000 on its own. Now if we add all these up and try to come up with the final tally or try to guesstimate what the final cost is going to be for building this garage, and I got this written down, this is going to cost 1 kidney. That's it, just 1. All right, so kidding aside, actually this building is going to cost close to 100 grand, give or take 1,000 or 2. Now, again, keep in mind that this is with all the options that I talked about included, like the installation, the epoxy flooring, all that stuff. Now, you may not want these. Also, if your building is smaller, again, it's going to cost a lot less. You know, if it's the third of the size of this building, it's not going to cost just a third of this building. It's going to actually be less because, you know, your roof trusses are going to be smaller, your walls are going to be smaller. It's going to be less material overall. Also, if you're not getting this permitted, you obviously don't have to spend the money on getting this permitted, the engineering plans, all that stuff. As far as how I'm going to pay for this, well, as some of you might have guessed, is that I'm going to be flipping cars for a year. You might be seeing some of them here. I've done videos on some of these, like this Jaguar, the RS6, some other ones you have yet to meet. I'll do videos on these, what's wrong with them. I'll obviously also do videos on fixing them, you know, detail work on how to do the mechanical repairs they might need, you know, body work, spray painting them, all that stuff, and also how to successfully flip them as well. So yeah, this is going to be basically a challenge that I'll be doing. I'm going to be giving myself exactly 1 year to make 100 grand flipping cars so I can pay off the bank. And that's going to be exactly from 1 year from today being August 29th. So hopefully in 1 year exactly, this place is paid off. I don't have to deal with any payments. And I'm going to be doing this exclusively by flipping cars, or at the very least having something to do with cars, maybe even buying them, parting them out, reselling them, you know, all that stuff. But more than likely, it's going to be mostly buying them, fixing them, selling them, or buying them, doing minor repairs, maybe body work, or respraying them, reselling them, things like that. And of course, all of this is going to be documented, all the repair videos, which cars I buy, how much I pay for them, all that stuff is going to be documented. I'm going to be making videos on doing all the specific, buying, selling, and repairs, and putting them up here on my channel. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, and give this video a thumbs up, and stay tuned. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.